We're back to the Neil Haley Show. My guest today is Robert P. Wills. And again, he is an author. He's authored many, many books, but it's time for Pirate Month, right? Because your new book's coming out November 22nd. There's going to be a special virtual book launch. We're going to have some really interesting stories. You're going to get to hear from different people. We're going to get to interview the whole story of why pirates. But tell us more about the book launching on November 22nd.
It's kind of a gritty pirate story. It's not a Disney style, pirate curses. There's no magic. There's no pirate curses. It's actual people. The time frame is historically accurate. The towns are where I say they are. The way the ships acts or way the ship actually acts when it's sailing. So are their tactics. But it's a pirate who's going after a treasure that he's heard about that belongs to the King of Spain, and they're getting ready to move from Hispaniola in the Caribbean to Spain. And so he's trying to get to the treasure before they move it. And once it gets on the open ocean, he'll never find it again. But he's dealing with a bunch of British sailors that are coming after him as well. So he's trying to get away from these British sailors. It's kind of a chase across the Caribbean to get to this treasure before even the British get there, because it's free treasure if they can get there as well. So it's kind of a race for the treasure is how the story is going.
A race for the treasure, and basically you've taken all the different types of stories together, pirate stories, and made it into your kind of your book, right?
Right, yeah, and the treasure isn't buried. It's being held in a little fortification on the island. So they're not going after a treasure that's buried. They're going to have to assault this building once they get there to get to the treasure, because that's where most treasures were kept. I mean, governments didn't bury treasures. They kept them in either a fort or some other fortification. And that's what they're going to have to deal with. So once they get to the island, and they're not home free yet, they still have to work their way past the guards who are intent on getting this treasure back to King Charles. So,
okay, so you put history involved. How much history did you have to research in this book for this book?
It's actually quite a lot. It's funny. The Caribbean is really kind of a strange area. Islands changed ownerships back and forth. Some islands were bought and sold. Other ones, other countries just took them over. And then the names of the islands changed. It's Dominican Republic, it's Hispaniola. So I had to go back and look at that. And while we were fighting the Revolutionary War about the 1780s, when this was going on, 1770s, there was also a push in the Caribbean with the British trying to get them out of there with the Spanish and the Dutch. So that was the hard part of going back and saying, okay, in 1786, who actually owned this island? Is it the Dutch? Is it the Spanish? Who owned it? Because, I'd hate to have I could, not that most people would notice, but I wanted to have it so that, the island is actually owned by the country that owned the island at the time that they were there, to try to keep it at least historically accurate as I can.
Exactly. And keep it historically accurate, making sure that all of it happens. So putting all the time and effort in and developing those characters. We talked about this on an episode before. Do some of these characters remind you of people like your family members or anything else in the way their characteristics and stuff, or you pull it more based on shows?
No, it's a bit more on shows and books. Masters and Commanders is a great movie. And the way they act on that ship. No, this story actually doesn't have family members in it. My other books do have family members pop up, whether by real name or just how they act. But this one here, no, it's pretty much reading about pirates and adventures, and there's lots of historical accounts of them, and kind of pairing them together to come up with, a pirate that's not really Blackbeard or any other pirate, but he's still kind of a vicious fellow interested in treasure. So,
all right, so pirates and adventures, such a great point that you talk about, and people love adventure and pirates, and especially, we just finished up a Halloween. What a perfect time to pick up the book for sure. And have you ever considered any of these audiobooks, any of your books you've done?
I have. I've actually, my science fiction series is available as an audiobook. The trilogy is on Audible, so they've been produced that way. Yeah, this one would make a good audiobook. It's pretty fast-paced action kind of thing. I think that would work well as an audiobook. That would be kind of fun. The hard part is finding the right voice to do the characters. And
who did you have the voices? Who did you have the voices when you did your characters of your books, the other books?
I hired this guy off of he's a producer on Audible that I hired to do the voices, and he does a couple of the voices, but it's mainly just the main character in that one is a is an Army warrant officer, so he's kind of gruff and husky, and that's the main voice that he does on that. I guess I could do the same thing with this, since it's kind of a middle-aged pirate. He's probably in his late 30s, early 40s kind of guy is what he is. So unfortunately, you don't last very long as pirates. You know, most pirates don't retire of old age. Usually get caught and strung up at some point in their life.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Wow. It's definitely for people, but then the virtual book launch, we have so many cool ideas for the virtual book launch that we're going to be talking about next week when we do an interview, because it's November 22nd, 7 p.m. and you definitely want people to pick up the book, order it before so they can have questions, maybe start ready for the pre-order, and it all releases on November 22nd. It's got to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and that's the thing. And you have a link we're going to put in the thing, so you can pre-order the book right now on Amazon. There's a link, right, for your book.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll have hardcovers of it that I'll order. So if someone wants a signed hardcover, I can always get one in the mail to them that way if they're interested in one of those. So
all right,
it's available as a paperback as well as an audio, as well as a Kindle ebook.
And your website again is where can people go to find more information on you? What's your website?
RobertPWills.com.
All right, RobertPWills.com. Fantastic. Virtual book launch with Paul Hollis, author of the Hollow Man series, Neil the Media Giant Haley, and Robert P. Wills will be releasing his book. And I know you're going to be in pirate garb, ready
Exactly.
November 22nd. Put it on your calendars. Appreciate it. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.